one of you.
I want you to deal with your problems by becoming rich.
This is my home. They're gonna need a wrecking ball to take me out of here.
Good timing, everybody, whether it's morning, evening, or anywhere in between. Welcome to unRekt Traders. Today we're going to take a look at Bitcoin. We are currently on the monthly using the machine. And we do have a new month. And as predicted, the 10 has come down into that range below the plus 100 on the quasi. We're expecting price to move down. Currently, we do have pretty strong support, however, at 59,800. And then again at the 50, because the 50 is well above that plus 100, at 56,000. So odds are unit price does come down. A body will be held above 59,900 this month. Now we may see a wick come down to the 10 here, green. Currently sitting around 52,000, let's say. However, for the most part, I would assume that we are pretty much range bound between the support here at 60,300 all the way up to the 3.2 at 93,600. Now we'll see if price can push above the previous highs. If it can't, then I would expect liquidity to be taken on this candle here and possibly fill in this level basically on this candle from February of 24. But as of right now, strong support and then very strong resistance above us at 92,000. However, we still have to get above more or less the 70, well, let's say, what is it, 73.8, let's say. Coming into the weekly here, we have support at 64,500. And then we have resistance sitting at 73,200. Our extreme move would be that 90,000. And we are looking at price coming, no, it's already hit actually. So it hit here. So we are kind of free bound actually. So we have support at 64.6 and then resistance at 72.9. And so range bound between that period until we break one of these levels. Now the 10 is starting to move up. So I'd expect price to try to get above this resistance level, try to take out liquidity over here, possibly make new all-time highs, which it would, I guess. And then come down into this 20, if not support down here. But again, you know, this 200, 100 at the 55,000 level is extremely strong support. And then the 50 is kind of a weak support, but I think if price did come up, then it would likely come down to that 20 again and then see where it goes from there. On the 3-day, everything is still trying to push up above. We still have support on the 100 yellow, which is at 60, let's just say 66,000. And price still wants to make its way down to the 50 actually at 59.3. So more or less I can see it try to bump its head above here, possibly take out the all-time high, coming into the 3.2 at 77,100, and then coming down into that 50, wherever this 50 is when it does finally do that. Daily. So on the daily, we still have the mean reversion in effect on the 200 purple, which is sitting at 54,800. 10 is getting above that plus 100, so just moving into trend. 200 should act as resistance, and we're pretty much right there now at 70,000. So we'll see if that holds. The 100 will definitely hold, and it has already once. That top of that 100 sitting at about 70,700. And then as this 10 kind of comes up, it starts to come back down, then we could see the move probably to this 50, or at least to the 100, and then see how that kind of plays out from there. But this is our ultimate target overall, more or less likely taking out liquidity, depending on how long it takes to get there. And then we'll see what happens. So, and this could technically, like this could in all reality, just kind of continue up in this upward direction. Price moves along, hits it, mean reversion's tagged, and then it's free to do whatever it wants. So that is a possibility. Now I'll come down into the 4-hour. And on the 4-hour itself, we do have mean reversion still in effect on the 200, basically from May 28th. So 5 days ago, more or less. And we're bumping our head against that resistive, hit the 3.2, came flying off of it to the downward direction, 200 held as resistance one more time. So it looks like it's going to try to push up one more time. And then depending on where that 10 and 20 are, likely see it push back down and then try to get into this range down here. Again, same thing could happen where the 200 just keeps kind of coming up, being sideways action on price, and then determine which way it wants to go, bearish or bullish. All right, so that's what I have for Bitcoin currently. So kind of sideways action for the most part. And if we really wanted to, we could just go into our indicators here, go to the technicals, grab a fixed range, and then just drag the fixed range across. So it's basically from May 20th, so the past couple of weeks, this is kind of our range. Value area high sitting at 69.6, value area low sitting at 67.4, and then point of control at 67.7. So likelihood, if we get above here, then we could try to get above this trend line. And then if it fails, then likelihood is we will fall below here and then kind of come down into this range, if not take out liquidity at 60,200. So this is decent range to find where the breakout is for the most part. Coming into the Nexus. So on the Nexus, we do have a new monthly and a weekly. I'm just going to hide the daily for now. And it'll come smaller time frame so we can see it better. So as of right now, we do have the monthly down here. Now it is a bullish neutral. Pivot is within the previous month's range. However, the pivot is higher than the previous pivot. So we are looking for kind of sideways action with the possibility of some bullish movement. Now we did open above the monthly, so we expect price to try to get up to the previous month high, take out liquidity, and then see what happens from there. If not even to the monthly R1, 74,100. Now we do have that trend line there, so if we do break that trend line, then we could have that continuation upward direction, find support on it, and take off again. Now this monthly is still naked, and from where it's currently sitting, we're looking at a 3.9 to the top of the pivot and a minus 5.5 short to the actual pivot itself. Now if we do make it up to the previous month high, then we're looking at 7.6. And if we don't get above this previous week high, which we're kind of showing a little bit of weakness, now we would come into the month or into this weekly. The weekly itself is bearish to the previous one. So on the weekly itself, we would have been looking for continuation to that downward direction. We did open below it. We came straight into that pivot, and then we went to the weekly R1, ran out of steam trying to get to the previous week high, which shows a little bit of weakness. And then we found support off the top of that pivot. So currently on the weekly, even though we're looking for bearish sentiment, we did get above not only the upper range, but also we're sitting above the previous week range. So we would be looking for a continuation to that previous week high, try to take out liquidity. And we do have a double top here technically. This is only a 30-minute, but that double top is there. So it is possible price does try to get that previous week high one more time, if not up into the previous month high before coming down to that monthly pivot. And I wouldn't worry about too much bearishness until we get below the lower weekly range sitting at 68,000. Now, if I do bring up the daily, let's just take a quick peek to see where it's at. So on the daily itself, so we are pretty bullish on the daily actually. Looking for that continuation to the upward direction, previous day high, daily R1. And then we'll see how it plays out once we get up into these levels one more time, if they even get there. If they don't, then our next support is sitting on this daily here or the weekly. And then we are technically looking for price coming into this monthly at some point of this month. And there's still, 27, 28 days left for this month. So 27 days, let's say. All right, guys, so that's what I have for Bitcoin. Thanks for joining. Thanks for watching. Hit the like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
Visit unRekt.me and download our free powerful indicators. and join our community of traders in our Discord server and get full access to the Machine Suite Indicators, the Nexus Suite Indicators, and the Nexus Screener.